Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today we will discuss Emily Bronte's novel Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights, published in 1847. Emily Bronte, 1818-1848. Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights is a complex exploration of human emotions, social structures, and the possibility of redemption. Its rich characters, intricate narrative, and profound themes continue to captivate readers and inspire critical analysis. Published in 1847 under the pseudonym Alice Bell, the genre of the work is Gothic novel, a romantic tragedy, or psychological fiction. A Gothic novel is a genre of fiction that combines elements of horror, romance, and the supernatural, often set in dark, mysterious locations like castles, ruins, or wild landscapes. It explores themes of madness, death, forbidden love, and the uncanny, aiming to evoke emotional intensity and a sense of dread or awe. Setting of the work, a Gothic setting, that is Yorkshire Moors, England, late 18th to early 19th century. Narrators, Mr. Lockwood and another character, Nellie Dean. Frame narrative. Inspiration to write. Emily Bronte, a reclusive and introspective individual, found her imaginative world in the desolate moorlands surrounding her home in Haworth, Yorkshire. Influences. Gothic fiction and romanticism, especially Byron's dark heroes and the supernatural. Christian and Calvinist theology, particularly themes of redemption, damnation, and predestination. Her brother Branwell Bronte's descent into addiction and despair parallels Heathcliff's decline. Germanic myths and folk ballads inspired the tone and themes of eternal love, revenge, and ghostly presences. Explanation of the title. Wuthering refers to a blustery, stormy type of weather common to the Yorkshire Moors. Heights signifies a remote and elevated home, symbolic of passion, wildness, and emotional extremes. Together, Wuthering Heights encapsulates the harsh environment and emotional turbulence that define the characters and the narrative. Now let's talk about the divisions or structure of the novel. Though not formally divided, the novel can be structurally divided into two major halves. Part first, the first generation from chapters 1 to 17, focuses the destructive love between Heathcliff and Catherine Earnshaw, covers Heathcliff's arrival, his mistreatment, Catherine's marriage to Edgar Linton, and Heathcliff's revenge. Part second, that is the second generation from chapter 18 to 34, focuses the next generation, that is Catherine's daughter Cathy, then Harrington, that is Hindley's son, and Linton, that is Heathcliff's son. Explores cycles of revenge, redemption, and emotional healing. Now let's go to the detailed summary. Chapters 1 to 3, Introduction and Lockwood's encounter. Mr. Lockwood, the new tenant of Thrushcross Grange, visits his landlord Heathcliff at Wuthering Heights. He encounters a gloomy and inhospitable household, including a young woman who is later revealed as Cathy Linton, then a surly servant named Joseph, and a rough young man named Harriton Earnshaw. Snowed in, Lockwood experiences a nightmare involving a ghostly Catherine Earnshaw pleading to be let in through the window. Heathcliff's distressed reaction to the name suggests a deep connection. Now chapter 4 to 5. Nellie Dean's narrative begins. Nellie Dean, the housekeeper, begins recounting the history of the Earnshaw family. Mr. Earnshaw brings home an orphan from Liverpool, naming him Heathcliff. While Catherine forms a bond with Heathcliff, her brother Hindley resents him, feeling displaced in his father's affections. After Mrs. Earnshaw's death, Hindley is sent away to college. Mr. Earnshaw's health declines, and upon his death, Hindley returns with a new wife, that is Frances, and assumes control of Wuthering Heights. Now up chapter 6 and 7, Catherine's transmission. Catherine and Heathcliff sneak into Thrushcross Grange, where Catherine is injured by the Lintons' dog. She stays with the Lintons for 5 weeks, during which she is transformed into a refined young lady. Upon her return, Catherine's changed demeanour and appearance alienate Heathcliff, who feels humiliated and rejected. An incident where Heathcliff throws hot applesauce at Edgar Linton leads to his further ostracization. Chapters 8 and 9, Frances' death and Catherine's dilemma. Frances gives birth to Harriton, but he dies soon after from consumption. Hindley, devastated, descends into alcoholism and abuse, particularly targeting Heathcliff. Catherine confides in Nellie about her conflicting feelings. She loves Heathcliff, but considers marrying Edgar for his social status. Heathcliff overhears part of this conversation and, feeling betrayed, leaves Wuthering Heights. Now chapters 10 to 17, Heathcliff's return and revenge. After 3 years, Heathcliff returns, now wealthy and educated, and begins a calculated plan of revenge. He elopes with Isabella Linton, that is Edgar's sister, treating her cruelly. Catherine, torn between Edgar and Heathcliff, becomes emotionally unstable and ill. She dies after giving birth to Cathy Linton. Heathcliff is devastated, begging her spirit to haunt him. Now chapters 18 to 24, The Next Generation. Cathy Linton, raised at Thrushcross Grange, is kept unaware of Wuthering Heights. She eventually meets Harriton, now under Heathcliff's control and deprived of education. Heathcliff manipulates events to have Cathy marry his sickly son, Linton Heathcliff, ensuring his control over both Wuthering Heights and Thrushcross Grange. Now chapters 25 to 34, Redemption and Resolution. After Linton's death, Cathy remains at Wuthering Heights, forming a bond with Harriton. Through mutual affection and learning, they begin to heal the past wounds. Heathcliff, increasingly haunted by Catherine's memory, loses interest in revenge and dies. Cathy and Harriton plan to marry and move to Thrushcross Grange, symbolizing hope and renewal. Now let's have a look at the structural divisions once more. The novel can be divided into 2 main parts. First generation focuses on Catherine Earnshaw, Heathcliff, Hindley, and Edgar Linton, highlighting themes of passion, revenge, and a social class. And the second generation centers on Cathy Linton, Harriton Earnshaw, and Linton Heathcliff, exploring redemption, growth, and healing. Now the themes and a literary analysis. Love and obsession. Catherine and Heathcliff's relationship is marked by intense passion and possessiveness, often described as "I am Heathcliff," indicating a loss of individual identity. Next theme, revenge and cyclical violence. Heathcliff's quest for revenge leads to a cycle of suffering affecting both generations. His actions mirror the destructive nature of vengeance. Social class and isolation. Heathcliff's ambiguous social status causes alienation. The novel critiques the rigid class structures of Victorian society. Next theme, nature versus civilization. Wuthering Heights represents the wild, untamed natural world, while Thrushcross Grange symbolizes order and civilization. Characters often struggle between these opposing forces. Next theme, supernatural elements. The presence of ghosts and omens adds a gothic atmosphere, emphasizing themes of unresolved emotions and eternal love. Next theme, redemption and growth. The younger generation, particularly Kathy and Harriton, embody the possibility of change and healing, breaking free from the past's destructive patterns. Now the key arguments and critical perspectives. First, dualism. Emily Bronte's crafts a world of binary oppositions, love and hate, civilization and savage, heaven and hell, creating a complex emotional and philosophical terrain. Narrative framing. The use of Lockwood and Nellie as narrators adds layers of subjectivity, suggesting that truth is filtered and partial. Anti-romanticism. Although often described as a romantic novel, Wuthering Heights critiques the irrational excesses of romantic obsession. Feminist undercurrents. Catherine's defiance of societal norms and Kathy's eventual assertion of agency reflect a subtle feminist critique of patriarchal control. Catherine struggled between societal expectations and personal desires, highlights the limited roles available to women in Victorian society. Psychoanalytic view. The character's actions can be analyzed through Freudian concepts such as the id, ego, and superego, especially in Heathcliff's internal conflicts. Marxist interpretation. The novel critiques the class system, showcasing how economic and social status influence relationships and power dynamics. Now let's discuss the contemporary relevance of the work. Exploration of toxic relationships. The novel serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of obsessive and destructive love. Class and social mobility. Themes of social inequality and the struggles of the underprivileged remain pertinent. Mental health awareness. Characters' experiences with grief, depression, and emotional trauma resonate with modern discussions on mental health. Now let's analyze the main quotes from the novel. First one. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same. Spoken by Catherine Earnshaw. This line encapsulates the intense metaphysical bond between Catherine and Heathcliff. Their connection transcends physical love, suggesting an identity so intertwined that a separation is spiritually impossible. Next quote. I am Heathcliff. Spoken by Catherine Earnshaw. Catherine expresses not just love, but a complete identification with Heathcliff, erasing the boundary between them. This extreme emotional fusion foreshadows both the tragedy and the intensity of the relationship. The next quote, I cannot live without my soul, spoken by Heathcliff. Spoken after Catherine's death, Heathcliff equates her with his very soul, emphasizing how deeply he is fractured by her absence. It reflects the existential despair and emotional devastation that it drives his later cruelty. Now the next quote, be with me always, take any form, drive me mad, only do not leave me in this abyss where I cannot find you. Spoken by Heathcliff. This desperate plea reveals Heathcliff's desire for Catherine to remain with him, even in ghostly or tormenting forms. It illustrates the Gothic obsession with the supernatural and the emotional extremism at the heart of the novel. The next quote, he is more myself than I am, spoken by Catherine Earnshaw. Catherine expresses that Heathcliff is a deeper part of her than even her own consciousness. This highlights a love that is intensely spiritual but also dangerously self-raising. Now the next quote. It is hard to forgive and to look at those eyes and feel those wasted hands. Spoken by Nellie Deans. Nellie reflects on how time and suffering change people, making compassion and forgiveness complicated. The quote captures the tension between justice and mercy that runs throughout the novel. Now the next quote. I have not broken your heart, you have broken it, and in breaking it, you have broken mine. Spoken by Heathcliff. Heathcliff blames Catherine for the mutual pain, showing how the love is simultaneously deep and destructive. It reflects the codependent agony that defines their relationship. Now the next quote, I wish I were a girl again, half savage and hardy and free. Catherine Earnshaw. Catherine longs for the freedom of childhood when she was unburdened by societal expectations and marriage. This yearning represents her internal conflict between nature and culture, wilderness and conformity. Now the next quote, Nellie, I am Heathcliff. He is always, always in my mind, not as a pleasure, any more than I always am a pleasure to myself, but as my own being. Spoken by Catherine Earnshaw. This expands on Catherine's identification with Heathcliff, acknowledging that their connection brings pain as well as unity. It underlines the paradoxical torment of a love that is inseparable from selfhood. The next quote. I lingered round them under that benign sky, watched the moths fluttering among the earth and harebells, listened to the soft wind breathing through the grass. Mr. Lockwood. This closing image from the novel's final paragraph suggests peace and a reconciliation. The natural imagery contrasts the earlier turmoil, symbolizing that the younger generation has healed the past traumas. Now the next line. It would degrade me to marry Heathcliff now. Spoken by Catherine Earnshaw. Though she loves Heathcliff, Catherine feels that his social status is too low for her to marry him. This quote exposes how social class and pride contribute to their doomed love. Now the next quote. You loved me, then what right had you to leave me? Catherine Earnshaw. Catherine's ghost confronts Heathcliff, suggesting that her death is a form of abandonment. It reveals how, even after death, their emotional bond remains unresolved and haunting. Now the next quote. I pray one prayer. I repeat it till my tongue stiffens. Catherine Earnshaw, may you not rest as long as I am living. You said I killed you. Haunt me then. Heathcliff. Heathcliff invites Catherine's ghost to haunt him, showing his inability to let go and his deep desire for continued connection. This macabre wish intensifies the novel's gothic atmosphere. Now the next quote. He shall never know I love him, and that not because he is handsome, Nelly, but because he is more myself than I am. Catherine Earnshaw. Catherine confesses her love in secrecy, aware that it is incompatible with the life she has chosen. Her tragic foresight highlights the conflict between social obligation and a true desire. Now the next quote. I gave him my heart, and he took and pinched it to death, and he flung it back to me. Spoken by Isabella Linton. Isabella describes her suffering at Heathcliff's hands, showing how love can be manipulated and weaponized. It is a stark warning against the consequences of misreading passion for devotion.